I have got to climb out of the Dersthöl, David. This place is terrible.
We've been in the Dersthöl for an hour now.
They dug too deep and too greedily into Dersthöl. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Weird energy because I have an ear infection right now. This is this is the infection cast.
My poor boy and his ear.
We're good. We're trooping. We're trooping through.
Yeah, we're trooping and gooping, and so I'm glad we're here featuring Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, trooping and gooping, featuring Gwyneth Paltrow as she introduces goop products to our frontline troops.
Whoa.
I think that's the show right there, right?
I think so, yeah. I didn't know that the troops really needed a lot of exposure to goop, if I'm being honest, but I am interested in what she's going to bring to the table.
I mean, I'm sure that she has like some really interesting like restorative gels for like their hands or their face if they're out in, like the sand or the snow or something for too long.
I just feel like so much of her product revolves around the Yanni, and so I'm not really sure that like that she's gonna have a lot for the male troops, you know?
She's going exclusively for the female troops. Who did the boys get then? Who is the male equivalent of Gwyneth Paltrow?
I think it's got to be Joe, right? It's got to be our boy Joe.
Oh wow, you're pretty right on that one.
Because he's usually selling something.
Yeah.
Like supplements or something.
Some weird supplement that's like crushed up bull bones in it or something to make you super strong.
It's the spirit of a gorilla in capsule form.
It's just whippets.
Yeah, just do whippets and you'll get big like me.
This one's a gorilla. This one's a crocodile. This one's a lion.
You can tell because of the color on the inhaler, I guess.
You can tell by the way that I scream afterwards.
By the thume that comes out of someone.
You will know which animal it was by my thume.
Hey, it's Video Game Podtimists. It's the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of goop. My name is Chase.
My name is David, and I feel like that might actually be a show already, or a book, or a podcast.
It probably is. We'll get sued by somebody. We'll see who it is.
Oh, Gwyneth, please don't.
I don't think it's going to be Gwyneth. I think it's going to be somebody else who, like, they're a, like, franchisee of Goop.
Goop CEO.
Goop EO.
That sounds like Rufio now.
Yeah, for sure. Cool band, Rufio.
I was talking about the character from Hook, but yes.
So was the band, actually. They were also talking about the character from Hook.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. David, yes. Have you been playing video games?
I have been.
Yeah, me too. I feel like last week we did not bring games because we were so busy playing video games in person, but like video games are back for me.
Yeah, we've made our swift and sweet return to video games.
Yeah, it's so cool. They're still here, and they're still, I'd say, pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, still, I quite enjoyed the games I played this week, actually.
You want to tell me about those?
I do.
Sick.
I played and beat MGS2, which we will talk about in depth on the podcast. So
At length.
I just wanted to say in advance, this game is very good.
Yeah.
And we will have a big old podcast for everybody on that one in the future, sometime soon, I would think.
I have so many things to say about this video game, David.
It's pretty interesting. Just call in his shot, Hideo.
Oh my God, yeah. Just like the amount of prescient thought in the game is bananas.
This is further proof that Hideo's from the future.
I think so. Or at least the team that made the game.
Yeah.
It's bananas. I feel like every time I think I'm ready to record the podcast, I do some other like Wikipedia dive onto just like a school of thought that Hideo was bringing. So it's gonna be good. I'm excited for that episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. Also very excited to start playing MGS3 because that was my first one of the series. I want to see how it aged.
Yeah.
But anyways, I've also been playing Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
Oh hell yeah! I saw this one come out. This is a 2022 release.
Yeah, this is pretty recent.
I'm not sure.
Pretty sure it's 22.
Is this on Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass. Yeah.
It's a 2020 release. In fact,
2020. For real?
I think it just came to Game Pass kind of recently, though. I heard Jason Schreier talk about it on Triple Click a while back, and he seemed to like it. He seemed to think it was pretty good.
I like this game.
Nice.
This game's fun. It's micro itty bitty sized. You can do like the whole game plus get the true ending, which is pretty easy to get in like 3 hours.
Okay.
But they put a lot of love and care into this game.
Sure.
Even though it's so short, it just meant that they can make the world still feel very rich and full, and just like have silly little jokes and asides that, you know, even though it's a short game, doesn't make it feel weak in a way.
Sure.
Right? It still feels like a very robust experience, even though it's, like I said, itty bitty bite sized. But a lot of fun, pretty straightforward combat, very self-aware of video games within this game. You know, it's like when you get your first sword, the place you walk into is in the woods, and it's like shaped exactly like when you get the Master Sword in Zelda. So yeah, it just has other little asides to video games as a whole as well throughout there. You know, like had one where it was like, oh, here's a trophy, and on the bottom it's just like a little flavor text of reward the player for doing something to keep them engaged. Just like, oh, someone went to school for this. Game design theory right there.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just a fun, silly game. You know, you go around, you can interact with and pick up letters and books and stuff, and the only option you ever have to interact with them is rip it, besides read it. You can't just put it back down. So in the beginning, you're like talking to these two people in town, because there's a lot of other sentient fruit and vegetables around. And the blueberry is like, hey, can you go tell the strawberry that I like her? And you go over and you tell the strawberry that. The strawberry's like, cool, can you go tell the blueberry that I like her? And here's a note to tell her about that. And you like look at it and you read it, and then you just rip it up right in front of them. They're just like, well, that wasn't very nice. And that's just the end of it. Just like you end so many things just by ripping it up, like leases, whole ass books. You just rip it up about tax, like how to do your taxes. Just big old books, autographs, like in front of these people. It's just it's pretty funny, kind of like chaos neutral experience that you're forced to do in this video game.
That's
just
funny.
What's the craziest thing I do right now? Just rip it right up in front of them.
Yeah.
It's very much kind of like an anarchist nihilist game in a way, in the way that it's like talking about things, I feel.
Sure.
But it's interesting. It's funny, very irreverent. And I also really appreciated the music too. I thought the music was pretty deep in this one, which was surprising to me. But it makes sense if you're, working a long time on a game, but it's only 2.5 hours long. You can put more effort into everything else that goes into making it feel rich. But no, I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, it was a good game.
Nice. I'm tempted to go play because I have heard a lot about it, and like, God, I just love a good short game. That's always just so incredible.
It's real quick.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Garden Story if Garden Story was like chaotic.
I liked Garden Story a lot too.
Yeah, I remember you were into that one.
Yeah. I may have to give it a try, like especially because hey, Game Pass, Cool. What else?
I've also been playing Escape Academy.
Escape Academy.
Yes.
Do I know what this is?
This is the escape room game on Game Pass.
Is this any good?
I'm quite enjoying it. I'm playing with Mallory, so it's 2-player.
Oh, nice.
So it's actually, as someone who's done a lot of escape rooms, it gets pretty close to how an escape room feels. But they, of course, can do things like, the room's filling up with water, or, there's blades and shit. So it gets a little bit more intense than a regular escape room can, which is fun. There's no physical threat of harm. So it's just figure out the puzzle. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a silly story, it seems like, in the background. I would say they're kind of setting it almost up, like story-wise, like an RPG, but there's no RPG like elements in the game. Right. But it's like you're whisked off to this academy after you beat an escape room in the real world, your normal neighborhood, because you did so well, and you escape like the room, and then you have to escape from the escape room like building, which was cool. I enjoyed that. Right. Like that'd be a good idea for an actual escape room. But then there's just a wacky cast of characters. There's Jeb, who's a big old maintenance man. Which is always great to have a guy named Jeb in a game.
For sure, yeah.
And the headmistress is cool. Like one of her missions, like to get into the exam, is like find out my name. You just have to like go through her office and find different clues as to what her three name is. Yeah, like her full name. So that was tight. And then there's also your kind of frenemy rival as well. So I'm interested to see how deep and how far this game goes. I feel like it might have the ability to lose steam at some point, because it just seems like it's disconnected levels. There's not much of a actual story, it seems, yet, and we've probably been playing for a couple hours.
Sure, yeah.
But the actual gameplay is fun. Just looking around, kind of poking at things, trying to interact with things, trying to figure out the puzzles. And the puzzles are pretty good.
Yeah.
They're fun. They definitely feel like they are, sometimes they're easy and sometimes they're challenging, which is, I think, a good mix of things to do in an escape room. So it feels like you're always having forward progress, and then you kind of hit these higher ones that aren't like so hard, but you can figure it out. Right? Yeah. So yeah, I think it has a good grasp on what makes an escape room fun.
Yeah.
Lots of doors, lots of hidden doors,
right.
Lots of good mix of difficulty for the puzzles. And I think they've done a good job at actually timing them out. Feels like there's definitely, you were feeling the time crunch sometimes.
Do they make advantage of the fact that like this is a digital game? Like, are you doing shit in the escape rooms that you could not do in real life?
Not in the effect that, you're doing like superhero power stuff or like anything crazy like that. It's been more just, like I said, there's a level where the water is rising.
Yeah.
Or, there's a level with like all sorts of crazy technology that you have to interact with to do it. Like none of that stuff would actually ever happen in a real escape room.
Right, yeah.
But there's nobody's like jumping or flying, or, there's no portals or anything, at least yet.
Yeah.
So who knows? But yeah, no, it's fun. It's still somewhat grounded in reality. So we'll see if it gets crazy. Oh, the last one was actually really good. It was like an escape mission. So you had to like guide your headmaster or mistress through a boat, like a prison boat, to rescue one of the other teachers who's been captured because there's like evil anti-escape scientists in the world who are capturing folks.
Yeah.
And you had to like command her through and like figure things out on your end to like hack stuff and then send her the code. It's actually really a lot of fun. That one was really cool.
That's cool. It sounds neat. It does sound like it's doing shit that like you wouldn't necessarily be able to do in like a real life escape room. So it's cool that they're taking advantage of the fact that like this is a digital experience and we can do shit that you wouldn't be able to do in real life. I think that's neat.
No, it's fun. You should see if Emily House will play it.
Yeah, for sure. I think like
puzzles. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Those kind of like cooperative puzzle experiences are definitely shit that like it's really fun to do in a co-op way, because I mean the same sort of draw that an escape room is, because like everybody's kind of chewing on like what's going on, and then
everyone can go and find something to do.
Yeah, it's cool. I've also kind of been playing an escape room game, so this is neat.
Ooh, nice. Okay. And I've been playing one other game, Chase.
What's your other game, David?
Well, you see, I finished MGS2, and I was like, I was missing Hideo.
Oh, sure.
That special brand of Hideo-ness that he can only bring to a game.
So you're playing Space Knots, the 1986 or whatever game.
You mean Police Knots, Chase?
Fuck.
You have been knocked down 10 ranks in the Hideo Kojima fan club for this transgression.
I'll just go ahead and hand in my Hideo card. It's over.
Close. It was close. No, I've been playing Death Stranding.
Let's go, David.
This game's good so far.
It's pretty wild.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm glad that it lands well on you, because it didn't land well for me initially, like the first time I played it. Where are you in the game, actually?
I guess spoilers tags for Death Stranding right now, but I'm just about to take my President Mama up the mountain. She's strapped to my back. Yeah. I just got her. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm early on in the game right now, but I'm having so much fun just experiencing it, because most of it's been cutscenes so far. But when it's this well like directed, and the world is so well thought out and engaging, like this is just like an awesome semi-interactive film that I've been kind of interacting with so far, which is a great experience, honestly. Yeah, especially if you do it well. And everyone, I've seen all the criticism of it, saying it's a walking simulator or whatever. I feel like that's a little unfair. This is a backpacking simulator. This is a cross-country backpacking simulator. So for anyone who's actually ever done that would know that those are not the same thing.
Yeah, it's hard to trek across a space. Yeah.
So I do find that they've found an interesting way to gamify backpacking.
Yeah, for sure.
To make it interesting, where you have to like plan out where you're going, how you're going to walk down. So yeah, it's fun. It's interesting. The graphics are amazing.
Yeah, it looks insane.
The world that Hideo has made up with this is really engaging sci-fi right now for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea where this story is going to go, but I'm excited to experience it.
It definitely goes somewhere. I was like worried in the beginning that it was just kind of like meandering.
Yeah.
I mean, it like kind of does that in the way that I think a lot of Hideo Kojima games do, but like it really says some shit by the end of it.
Okay, cool.
I wouldn't say as much as Metal Gear Solid 2, but it is fun, like the story that he tells.
I feel like a lot of the stuff so far has been a bit on the nose, like America's ended.
Yes, yeah.
We have to bring back America together. We talk about this country's done for. I'm Norman Reedus.
Yeah,
the anti-president.
It is a little on the nose, and like I think it's also shocking to consider that this game, I think it come out in 2018 or 2019, and then
further proof Hideo's from the future.
That's what I'm saying. Like the experience of playing this, even after the quarantine era of COVID, is wild to see him like this person whose whole job is just like getting stuff from one place to another because there's a fucked up like kind of airborne disease that's gonna like kill people is shocking. Like it's pretty wild to experience. I think I played this in like 2020 or 2021, and like it hit pretty hard just for like the setup of the world. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really like this game. Like all in all, so I'm interested to see where you land with it.
Yeah,
I think it does relax a little bit on the cutscene heavy stuff the farther in you get. Like I think sort of like the middle 60% of the game is a lot of just like playing the game.
Sure.
And I like if you're enjoying the sort of like traversal part of it, it does like that still continues and is still really fun throughout. It becomes a little less onerous as time goes on. Like I feel like initially I was just like tripping and falling all the fucking time and like could not get anywhere, and eventually like you're able to like balance your shit a little bit better, and like it just gets easier to play. You have more options with how to like get from one place to another.
Balancing is hard.
It's hard. Yeah, you just got to hold down them triggers the whole time. But yeah, I think it's like a pretty astounding game and like goes places that I was not expecting it to.
Yeah. Okay, well I'm excited to try it. I'm probably like maybe an hour two maybe into it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like after the mission that you're on is when it sort of like picks up a little bit.
Sure.
And you start being able to do like many missions at once, and you have like a bunch of stuff that can get delivered and all that. So it's really cool. I love the take on the world that they have. It's like initially kind of sad to be there, right? Like it's a pretty desolated world overall, but I think that there is like an optimism in there that you find in stuff like Breath of the Wild, where like it's kind of a post-apocalyptic space, but like there is a human optimism there that I think is kind of encouraging and nice to experience.
Yeah.
Just because I think a lot of like forward-looking science fiction can often be incredibly apocalyptic, and like inherently post-apocalypse is, but it is kind of a nice take on sci-fi when it's like we think that there is something beyond, the world changing in a significant way, which feels kind of comforting in
our present times.
Yes, exactly. So I sort of like when games that are post-apocalyptic or sci-fi say like, yes, this is a changed world, but there is still like a lot of good, and especially when you're playing as Norman Reedus, who like is doing a lot of good despite being kind of like not bitter, but sort of reluctant to do. Yeah, he's pretty disillusioned. That's true. It's a good game. I'm very excited to see you play more of this.
All right, I'm ready for it.
Hell yeah.
Ready to strand those deaths.
Get those deaths all stranded out.
But that's it. That's all I've been playing.
Nice. Cool. Can I tell you about some video games?
Yeah, tell me. Please. Regale me with your tales.
I got 2 video games for you, David.
Yeah.
The first of which, the escape room game, kind of.
Okay.
It is the 2002 remake of Resident Evil 1, David.
Are you playing this on the PlayStation Network thing?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I was just kind of poking around the like collection of games that the PlayStation Premium thing has. And I saw that this was on there and was like, hey, I would like to play this. Because I like Resident Evil a lot, like just the series itself. And I had also played this one, the remake, in 2002. I think I played it on GameCube.
It's a 2002 remake of a game? It's a 20-year-old remake of a game?
Yes, of a game that came out in 1996. So
damn, it was 20-year-old remake of a 25-year-old game.
Yeah, it's like that specifically is a really bizarre way of playing this game, because like at this point, because it's been so long since either of those games have come out, it feels like a similar amount of time, right? Like the difference between 2002 and 1996 in hindsight now is like, it seems not that far apart because it's so long ago.
Yeah.
And so it's really weird to play this like game that was, I think, intended to just be like kind of a graphical update so that other people could play it, right? I was reading the like Wikipedia about it, and Shinji Mikami had said like, I would like to, instead of updating Code Veronica, I would like to make a remake of the first one because the first game like looks so bad now. But again, which is so bizarre to like hear that. And like this game's, I think it is doing incredible stuff with the visuals, but like it doesn't look as good as, you know, modern stuff. So obviously, of course, right, it came out on fucking GameCube. So like it is a truly bizarre experience to play this out of the context of the moment. So this game overall, I think is like really fun and I'm really enjoying it. I think that is partially because I do like a lot of the Resident Evil games. And I have such like fond, strong memories of the first game, like playing that with my dad and my brother, and like just being truly scared shitless of this game. Like so frightened of what is going on in Resident Evil. I may have mentioned this on the pod before, but like I was playing the 1996 version with my brother, and like something in my dad's old busted house like cracked and creaked in the other room, and I was like, oh fuck, what is that? Because like it's nighttime. They're here. And my brother like picks up a flashlight and is like, let's go find out. And I'm like, dude, no, I am not leaving this room for anything.
How old were you?
96. So if I was playing it that year, I was 6, or if the year after 7. So like a boy, you know?
Yeah.
Young. So I just have such strong memories of it that like it's hard not to want to relive that game and even a remake of that game. I will say that like just on the face of it, the acting is like unhinged and bananas in a way that is like
good way.
I think in a good way. And it's again very bizarre because I know that they're trying to update it for like a modern era, but I think in good and bad ways, it is adhering to the like stylistic and directional decisions that they made in the first game. So like what I mean by that is the backgrounds are all pre-rendered still. They just look like wildly better than they do in the PS1 game, right? Like,
sure.
So pre-rendered backgrounds meaning like the game itself isn't rendered in like physical 3D. It's just like kind of a painting that you're walking around a lot of the times, at least in the background. And then like your character's in 3D and like some of the objects are in 3D. But like by and large, a lot of it is just this like static painting of the Spencer mansion, which I think in hindsight works really well for me. It feels like it is a intentional decision after they've remade it. Like in the first one, it's like, we want to make this game look good. How do we do that? That's a hardware decision to say, well, we can't render all this cool stuff we want to do. So let's just like put a JPEG of a mansion behind you and let you like walk around on it and see if we can't make that look good. And so by doing that again and intentionally, it feels very much like they are still sort of adhering to that design decision. And I think it's really cool. It like looks good to me because of that. There are parts of it that look like really like, wow, that's like really good. And because like a lot of the shadows and stuff aren't dynamic, they're static, you can make them look really good and really moody, right? Like you don't have to worry about like, is this person's TV going to be perfect enough to render the shadow correctly? It's like, we've got an image and we can tell whether or not that looks good most of the time.
Yeah.
And so I think it looks really good. Like I posting about this on Twitter, but like there's a lot of stuff in this game that I think adds to the horror of it. Specifically, I will say too, the camera angles are just chef's kiss with these fucking camera angles, David. Oh my God.
They're doing it for you, huh?
I think it's really good. I think I might be a static camera angle defender.
I could see it.
Because like after Resident Evil 4, a lot of the decisions about how to or where to place the camera have essentially been, it's either going to be over their shoulder or first person. And both of those things come with advantages and disadvantages, right? Like first person is a deeply personal and like tense experience, right? Like the recent Biohazard game and Resident Evil Village are all like very scary because you're just like right up in it. The horror is very in your face. Whereas with the static camera angle stuff, it's like they are using the where to put the camera to be scary. And a lot of that is just like their good decision making and how to like block what you're able to see, like literally blocking like in a movie, right? And for an example of that, like the very first zombie that you encounter in Resident Evil 1, you like come in through this like big dining hall into one of these like side hallways, and there's like a very iconic cutscene that plays of a zombie like eating a dude and then like kind of turning around to look at you. And from there, the camera pulls back to where it was before, and the wall that you can't see beyond is covering up where the zombie is. And you know that because your character's kind of like reacting to it. I was playing as Jill Valentine this time, and she's like kind of like worried. And if you back up, they're like putting their hands up to like keep the zombie away from you, but you can't fucking see it. And so the game is like already messing with you of like, we're not always going to show you where the horror is.
Yeah.
It makes the mansion and the game itself feel oppressive in a way that works really well for a horror game. Hiding the scary stuff from you is very scary.
The suggestion of something scary is oftentimes scarier.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I think that works really, really well for horror games. Whereas like with the more modern remakes of like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, which I will talk about in a moment, they put the camera behind you. Oftentimes it feels like the horror of those games is relying more on the very terrifying like lighting that it's doing, where it's like sort of hiding shit in the shadows from you, which is, to be fair, also scary. But like it is a different kind of horror, and I think one that feels more visceral because like I know what it's like to not be able to see something in the dark. But I think that there is something interesting when they are structuring the mansion to feel like it is just as scary as the zombie around the corner. Like, it's too tight in here. I can't see around these fucking corners. I don't know where the next big bad thing is going to pop out from. And it's not like a jump scare. It's just like, I don't know what shit the next room is going to hold that's going to try and kill me, you know? And so I think that it's really cool. A lot of the camera angles are, they both intentionally hide shit from you, and they're also just like composed really well. There's a lot of them where you're like going down a set of stairs and the camera's like tilted. And so it looks like you're kind of like walking down this like spiral fucked up staircase, right? If you're walking through a graveyard, it'll put the camera behind like a set of metal bars, and so you're like running by it essentially. Other rooms that you'll come into where the very first camera angle that you're presented with is Jill Valentine just staring at the fucking camera, which is like also like unsettling. Yeah. Like all of it just feels very unsettling in a way that I really like. And I don't really know that the current games have that specific brand of scary. And like I said, I don't think either of those are necessarily better, but I do like what fixed camera angles can do for a horror game. We talked about this a little bit with Silent Hill 1 and like how that game made good use of some static camera angles too. Yeah.
I feel like a good indie developer could make like a good, I don't know, static camera horror game, right? Because if it is like just easier to do.
Yeah, there was something in one of the horror demo discs that came out a year or two ago that was like essentially that, like you're some little girl just like running away from like a terrifying monster. A couple of Bryce B's games do that. There was this one that you like show up at a motel or something, and it felt very Resident Evil as well. But yeah, I think it works really well. That does come with the drawback that like tank controls are a necessary evil.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know what that is, tank controls are essentially a way of controlling the character where if you press up on the directional pad or the stick, that moves them forward regardless of where they are on the screen. And so it's like you are pressing to move forward rather than to go like up from your perspective.
Yeah, it takes a second to get used to.
Yes, and it works for fixed camera angles because like it can switch between a couple of different perspectives and you will always still be moving forward, versus like there's an alternate control scheme in this one that is the default where you just sort of move whatever direction your control stick goes in, but every time the camera angle changes, you kind of have to like reset what direction you're moving, because if you're moving down towards the camera and then it switches to behind you, suddenly like that is not down anymore. And so it's like kind of disorienting in a bad way where I'm doing shit that I don't intend to. And so I changed it back to 10 controls and it felt a lot better. I like played through the rest of the game that way. Yeah, I just think it's really good. I like that they have gone with the design decisions that the first one went with without it feeling like a hardware constraint again. I'm really interested if they try to redo this one, because I know that there's been some rumblings about like, well, they did Resident Evil 2 and 3 and they're going to do 4, so like why not do 1 as well?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I'm interested to see if that would still hit as hard. I do think that there is some amount of magic in the parts that they've put together here. And like, you know, that's not to say this game is perfect. Like I said, the acting is bizarre and otherworldly. A lot of the times, like I had to look up a lot of shit in the puzzles of like, how am I supposed to do this? I just do not understand. And like some of them are like, okay, I probably would have gotten that if I stared at this for another 10 minutes. Other ones are like,
what I'm there for.
Yeah, that's not what I'm there for. Like, I kind of just want to experience this and see like what they have around each corner rather than like, what is the the color-coded combination that I need to unlock this door or whatever. Yeah. There's one puzzle later in the game where you have to mix together like different chemicals to like get this chemical that will kill a boss without having to like shoot it. And so like there's an option to not do it, but I was like, I would like to know. And like in no world would I would have figured this out. It would have taken me so fucking long. Not to mention a lot of the like saving system feels incredibly punitive in a way that I don't think modern games necessarily would do if this was released today, and like feels very outdated as a result. You know, you have the ink ribbon wheels or whatever that you have to use to save, and you can run out of those at some point if you save too much. And oftentimes if you're not saving frequently enough, you'll die and go back and be like, oh my god, I can't believe I haven't saved since, you know, whatever. And so like that part of it feels outdated in a way that doesn't feel like, oh, interesting, look at how they used to do this is cool now. It's like, that's painful and kind of sucks. And like, I don't really know the advantage of that. Like, I think the game is still tense enough without the threat of you having to maybe go back and do some shit over again. I know that I suspect the intent is to ratchet up the tension of like, I really hope I don't die here because I'm going to have to go back really far. And it feels like a threat that I don't really want them to ever execute on, you know, like just it's totally cool if you put me outside the room where I died. I still don't want to die, you know, like I still don't want to have to do that. So
don't make me do all of that over again.
No, there's a part later where you're like trying to not get killed by this gigantic shark named Neptune.
And Neptune or Niptune?
Neptune.
Okay, Neptune. I heard Niptune for a second. I was like, excuse me?
It's a very weird off-brand of chiptune, very weird genre of music. So you have to like just do this puzzle before it comes crashing through one of these windows, and like the puzzle is nonsensical. You essentially just have to run around the room and like pull a bunch of levers until it like works right. And I died so many times doing that. And the first of which was like, oh my god, I am so far back right now. But I think, you know, if you know that going into it, it is a lot easier to work around it.
This is reminding me of another game I played this past week that I forgot about.
Oh, hell yeah.
Finish your thing though first.
Yeah, no worries. So anyway, I beat this game over the weekend. It's like about 10 hours. So like not a short game, I would say, but you know, not gigantic. It felt long. Like I was playing through it and I was like, surely I'm getting towards the end of this game by now. And it still went on probably another like 3 or 4 hours after that.
Wow.
And so like, I think that there are reasons for that I'll talk about in a moment. But overall, I still think it's a really good game. It's just like, I thought going back to it that like, ooh, I'm really interested in like the lore of Resident Evil, and like that was not at all my experience this time, because like it's just so ridiculous, and like Wesker is so clearly the bad guy in this one. Nobody like operates like a normal human. You're wandering around with this guy named Barry if you're playing with Jill, and like every time they run into each other, they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on in here, despite like shooting many zombies at this point. Like they're clearly undead monsters. Like, ooh, this place is pretty spooky, huh? And then the end result of that conversation every time is, we better split up and look around.
Yeah.
It's never, we should definitely not leave each other. And like, spoilers, there's kind of a reason for that, but like, it's still so bizarre. Like, I would assume that Jill at least would be like, fuck no, we need to stick together because this place is literally trying to kill us. So like, let's not do that. But every time they're like, okay, I'll see you later. So it's just totally bizarre, but weird. It's worth a try, I think, like because it's on the PlayStation thing. Like if anybody's interested in it, like it is, I think there is still a lot to love about it, especially if you're interested in like the horror genre of video games.
Do you think it would do well with a remaster right now?
I think it would do different things well. Let me you can speak to your other thing that you played, but let me just jump onto one other thing real quick, because this is a perfect segue.
Sure.
I've also been playing Resident Evil 2, the 2019 version.
Didn't you already play that?
I have already played this.
Okay.
I was just so interested because like this game came out, or the Resident Evil 1 remake came out in 2002. This one was 2019, so pretty recently. And I just kind of wanted to compare them against each other directly. Like I beat Resident Evil 2 or 1 and immediately downloaded Resident Evil 2 because I was like, I gotta get in there while it's fresh. And there, it's very bizarre playing these two right next to each other. I think that there's definitely a lot to love about this game. The most obvious of which is just like, it looks fucking incredible. It is astounding how good this game looks. Like, just totally crazy, realistic shit going on. I also think they did a pretty good job of like redoing Resident Evil 2 without like just totally one-to-one remaking it. A lot of the shit is the same, but I think they took a little bit of a different direction with a couple of the characters that I think like benefit the game a lot. Like Leon is a lot more of a realistic person in this one.
Sure.
Rather than just like super cop, super rookie cop, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of that stuff is really cool. Like I said, though, they do take the camera and put it behind your shoulder. And so like suddenly the horror of this game is really different.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more like a Last of Us approach where like you are feeling the scariness of these monsters who are breathing down your neck and like kind of turns into a shooting gallery at some point rather than like what horrors does this police station hold for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's more actiony, less exploration.
Yes. Yeah. And like I was just going to mention in comparison to Resident Evil 1, there is still sort of this like puzzle box approach to the game where the first one does a really good job of like the mansion is just so dense and like there's so many doors that are locked. There's so many puzzles that you don't know what to do with. And like the mansion itself lasts for like hours and hours and hours of you like wandering through and checking shit and getting access to a new area. This one does it too, but I think it's a lot different. It's a lot easier, I would say. Like you kind of only have like one direction you can go for a little while, and then you get a number of items that you're like, okay, I remember I can use the crank over here and the battery over there and, you know, do XYZ. And it's like pretty clear what you need to be doing, which, you know, for somebody who had to look up a lot of how to do the other game is welcome, right? Like I think it's a little bit more obvious, but it does take away from that sensation of like, this place is impenetrable. Yeah. It's just sort of like, I know what I need to do here. I just need to go do it. It also makes like just incredible use of the map system where if you click on the map and the room is still red, there's like still something in there that you can get. And if it's blue, there's no more items there. You don't have to keep searching. That's great. Like, oh my God. It did that in Resident Evil 1 too, which I was really surprised by that like they were doing it back then as well. But like, oh my God, it's so useful. Like my item FOMO is just like kind of calmed a little bit when I'm like, there's no more bullets in here. I don't need to worry about that anymore. Yeah,
I don't need any more of my inventory in here. We're good.
Speaking of which, holy shit, I didn't even touch on the inventory in the first one. So bananas. Like
bananas, like in a bad way?
Yes, I didn't love the inventory system in one. Like, so often it was like, why make me have to run back to my box to do this? Like, I do understand when there is a scarcity of bullets and you kind of have to like pick and choose. Am I going to carry more bullets? Am I going to carry more healing items? And like, there's a trade-off there. But when it's like a key item, like literally a key, and like, I just didn't bring it with me. I'm like, oh my God, this is so stinky. I hate this. It just feels so like, again, punitive for no reason.
I hate this.
I hate this. This stinky. Whereas,
quote of the year.
Whereas with Resident Evil 2, it's still making you manage your inventory, but they are very upfront being like, have a little bit more inventory. There's like hit packs that you can get pretty early to increase your inventory size. And they just make it a lot easier. I will say that the Resident Evil 2 remake like is incredibly gruesome at times in a way that like isn't always super fun. Like I think that there's a little bit more, I don't know, again, we talked about this with Silent Hill, but I think like the suggestion of something terrible happening is more scary than like literally seeing somebody's jaw get ripped off, you know, like it is a different kind of scary to like see all that in like nearly photorealistic display and like in a way that I don't always love. Like you'll come around a corner and be like, Leon will just walk up to some dude who's like head is torn in half or something and be like, ugh. I'm like, I don't know if I need this, you know?
Ew, gross.
It's sticky. And like, I get that that's a decision, right? Like they're trying to freak you out, but like I think for whatever reason, gore and like very physical, realistic violence doesn't always jive for me. Yeah. Whereas again, with like something where it's like Resident Evil 1 or the original Resident Evil 2, it's pixels. And so it's not as easy to distinguish like, oh, I can see the point where his jaw ripped, you know, like it's just like, he's fucked up. There's a big bloody nasty mess over there.
Yeah, it's like if a surgeon looked at this, they'll be able to identify the different muscle bellies that are meticulously rendered into this.
Yes, exactly. And so like, I don't know, it's just, it can be kind of bracing sometimes to be playing through it and then like just come up on like some genuinely horrifying shit. And like, again, it's adding to the horror, I think, just in a way that makes my stomach turn rather than makes me scared, you know? So anyway, I will say that something this game does really well that the first one I think does great, but this one is definitely firing on all cylinders, is the sound design of it. It is oftentimes like incredibly disorienting where something is because they've got good sound design to the point where it's like, is this the monster screaming down the hallway in front of me or is it behind me? I can't really tell. And it's not in a way where it's just coming from all directions. It's like, it sounds like it's over here, but like, is that just it hitting the wall and bouncing around or whatever?
Yeah.
Like,
can I trust this?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so I think that's really well done. Again, especially for a horror game, it's really fun to not know where the monster is. I'm so mixed on Mr. X in this game. the big boy who's just sort of like, yeah, he's gonna give it to you. So it's just essentially this big monster who chases you around the police station.
With the trench coat?
With the trench coat, yeah.
Spookiest part. What are you hiding, Mr. X?
I think you do get to see what's under there eventually. There's a romantic
Is he starting
scene.
an OnlyFans?
You can subscribe to his Raccoon City OnlyFans, Raccoon based. So anyway, it's like it adds to the horror for a little while, and other times I'm just like, I'm just here to do the puzzle, man. Like, can you leave me alone for 2 minutes? Because when I'm like running across the police station, it's scary because it's like, fuck, I need to find a way around him to get to the place. But it's like, okay, I'm in the room and I'm like doing the puzzle to unlock the man's hand who's holding a scepter that has a gem in it. I don't need Mr. X to come up here and muck that up because I'm just going to come back to this room. So like, leave me alone, dog.
What if he just played Exhibit when he busted through? Would that make it better?
Yeah, honestly, that would make it pretty fucking good. It's like kind of muffled on the outside.
Yeah.
And then
you hear him coming down the hallway.
It's like, oh my God. The door just comes crashing open with his big ass boombox that he's holding.
He'll take you one-handed. No problem.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm still really enjoying this. I think this is a supremely playable video game. Like, it's totally fun to just pop it open. Like, it is buttery smooth. It looks incredible. It like plays very well. Like the shooting feels very good and like modern. I don't know if that always adds to the horror aspect to it, but it's just so easy to pop it on and play. And I think that's a combination of how good it feels to play, but also just like the map is really good and the inventory is really good to always kind of give you a direction of like, I think I know what I need to do next. You know, I have these key items. And I remember this room had a crank that I couldn't turn until I got this piece or whatever. Yeah. So it's good. I enjoy both of them for sure. And it's really fun to revisit this, like, I would say pretty iconic horror genre game. Like, I think Resident Evil was kind of the scary game for a while. And it's pretty cool to be able to pick apart and point at like what about that still works and what doesn't. So yeah. I'm loving it, David.
Yeah. Oh, McDonald's plug right there.
That's a little arch card plug for all you real Ron heads.
I was about to say, Chase is gunning for some arch cards right now.
Yeah, if anybody needs to send me a $1 arch card, I will buy some nuggets with that.
Can you buy nuggets with $1?
Probably not. I wonder if you could buy like one nugget with $1.
That sounds about right. Well, exchange this for one nugget, sir.
How many Ron coins will this $1 arch card get me?
5,000. If it moons, you done with working forever, baby.
What was the other game you played, David?
Oh yeah, it was I beat Ninja Gaiden Sigma.
Oh, let's go. Wow. Yeah. Where were you the last time we talked?
I was just right before you fight Alma for the second time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you were pretty close, right?
That's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mostly just bosses from that point on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So beat her, made it through. And, you know, I really enjoyed this game, but the last section was frustrating.
Yeah, I know what part you're talking about.
Not from a this is too difficult standpoint, but from a this is just too much standpoint.
It's kind of tedious and like punishing in a way that kind of sucks.
It's tedious and it's punishing, and it's, you know, if you don't if you don't have enough healing, you just don't have enough healing. There's no way to get any more. So it's like either you learn how to do this perfectly, or you go back to an earlier save, go out, farm some essence, get some more healing, and then go back. So that's what I had to do, because I fought, what's his face? I fought Marbus, I think is the devil's name, the demon's name that you go and visit.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Michael Marbus.
Dr. Michael Marbius.
It's just me, Dr. Michael Marbius. Marbus. Where you like fight some fiends, then fight a mini boss, fight some fiends, fight the mini boss, fight some fiends, then fight him.
Yeah.
I had, I think, 2 healing. for that. And I could get through to him. But then once I got to him, it was like I could see myself getting there, but having to go through all of everything else first was just too frustrating to deal with.
For sure.
So I'm just like, if I could just like pop back into the boss, I feel like I could do this.
For sure.
But it's driving me nuts. So I had to go back through all those fish, those damn phantom fish.
God, that's what I'm saying, dude. The fish fucked me up.
The fish fucked me up, man. I had to use so much ninpo on them.
Yeah, you got to use the one where like the little fire flames wheels fly around
Otherwise you're done. Otherwise you're done. Had to go all the way back down there, go out to the city, go into the shop, buy some stuff, go back, also fighting enemies that spawn on the way. So I mean, it's still the game is just so much fun to play, like the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
But this part, and then also the very ending part, where after you beat this, you can go and save again, and then go and fight the main boss. It's like, like who is able to do that if they just have one elixir, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then go through another 3 bosses of like the main bosses. That's what it was. And then if you beat the first 2 mini bosses and then get to the next save point, there's no way to get any more healing from there. So if you have like 1 healing and then you go and fight the last boss in the game, you have to go through this whole entire really somewhat janky platforming section to actually get out of there, which takes a while. It's tedious. And then you can go and fight him. And the boss fight's fun. But
yeah, they sure are.
When I die because I can't get any more healing, and then I have to go through this platforming section again, it makes me go a little crazy.
Yeah.
So I ended up just booting back up from an earlier save, beating the first 2 bosses again, and then going up and doing it. I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Just give me a little homie to buy stuff from. Yeah. Somewhere, just so I don't have to go back.
It felt like a decision out of time for sure. Like it felt like the end of any Mega Man game where you have to fight every fucking boss again. You're like, it doesn't really have to be this way. Like, why is the difficulty ratcheted up so much right at the end here?
Yeah, it was definite difficulty spike at the end there.
And like, I don't know, I'm mixed on whether or not I think like throwing more dudes at you is a good stand-in for difficulty. I don't know that it is. I feel like a lot of the times when I point to, or I find good examples of difficulty in games, it's like, not just more, it's like different. You know, like Melania was hard in Elden Ring because like she's very different than the rest of the game, but she's still manageable. Like if you just learn her patterns, it's still something you can do, versus like, we're just going to throw 100 dudes at you and then 3 bosses. Like, I don't know if that's a good stand-in for like really good difficulty.
Yeah, it was too much.
Yeah.
And at least if you're going to do that, that's fine. But give me the chance to buy some more healing at some point, or like earn it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't want to have to go all the way back, because like I played that volcano platforming segment so many times. Yeah. So many times. And there'll still be some times where I just like, I would do the wrong input and I'd fall off. And then, and then, you know, the next 2 times that I actually get through to the boss, they're not going to go well, because I'm still going to be upset about the time that I fell into the lava.
Yeah, you're already tilted. It's true. Tilted.
So yeah, that game pushed me this weekend.
But you did it.
But I did it. And it's still a fun game. Yeah, I still really enjoyed it. The combat is so good. The combat's just so good.
It's wild that they were able to do that so early on in like the, I guess, like third person action genre. Like it feels shocking that it's that good that early. It's not perfect, but it is really, really good still.
Yeah, not perfect, but quite good. I still think it's a really good game. I still think it's worth a play for pretty much anybody. Just be prepared in that last segment there to be just stocked to the gills to make it through.
David.
Yes.
Do you have something fueling your sense of optimism this week?
I do, Chase.
What is it?
It's short games.
Short games, hell yeah. Absolutely. I'm totally in agreement with you.
I like a good short game. Like Turnip Boy, like just a couple hours over the weekend. It's great. Yeah. Had the full experience. Felt fun, memorable, interesting.
Not everything has to be 100 hours, guys.
No, it had some good beats. Yeah. It was great. A little bite-sized, a little snack game. A little bite-sized guy. I
feel like you can still say a lot in a short little package, you know?
I feel like they said quite a bit in that game.
It's always good. I totally agree that like if a game knows that it needs to be short, just like be a short game. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. You know?
Own it.
And I think it is kind of helpful that like indie games exist where like the pricing doesn't have to be $60, so that like if a game is like 5 hours or something, like paying $20 feels like a lot more of a better or an easier value proposition for that. It's not to say like, short games aren't worth it, because I played, I think Chicory was pretty short. I would have paid $100 for Chicory. Like, that game is incredible. It was just so good. Or like Hollow Knight or something. Hollow Knight's been like $10 or $20 forever, which is like the weirdest price point for that game, because it is
might
so
be some
long
of the most
and so
best
good.
value in gaming.
For real. So like, it's, I feel like pricing is a very personal experience for like how that translates to value for you. But still, like, it is kind of nice when it's like, okay, this game is short, and so I don't have to, cough up quite as much money for it. But I really enjoy those. Celeste is another one. I feel like the game was not very long, but like,
no,
if you're not doing all the B-sides, whatever.
Got to the B-sides.
Still pretty short. It's a good one. Can I tell you about my Podtimistic thing of the week, Dave?
Please.
It's replaying a video game, David.
Oh, cool.
Not something I do particularly often,
Same.
I will say. I feel like a lot of the times, if I'm replaying a game, it is specifically for the show now, or because it's like been long enough that I don't necessarily remember it all. And I think that's the case for both of these games. But like, Resident Evil 2 was fairly recent. I remember playing that very recently. So it doesn't feel like, everything has changed since then, but it is interesting with the context of Resident Evil 1. So hot on my plate.
So hot. Steaming
pile of Resident Evil 1. Ew. So
it's brains.
So yeah, I like I said, I don't always replay games, so it is really fun to go back and like do something that I like know that I enjoyed at some point, and see how it lands on me now, especially if it's been such a different time. I don't know why this was the case, but I was listening to a lot of Limp Bizkit's Results May Vary when I played through Resident Evil 1.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I would say didn't age as well as Resident Evil 1.
Were you a biscuit boy?
There was a little time where I was a biscuit boy. Yes. Real smelly time for me personally.
Hey, it happens.
It happens. Saying that like it's a car crash. Oh man, it happens to the best of us.
Just gotta go out and just gotta get a new fender, baby.
I was a big fan of the Red Light, Green Light track on that one, featuring Snoop Dogg.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a big pull for them.
Kind of a get for Limp Bizkit, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really transported me to another place when I was playing through the first one. Of like, what was I doing? Why was this what I was doing at the time? I think I was listening to it on a Walkman too. Oh, it was pretty sick.
Wow.
Like it's the CD player, not the like digital MP3 player.
Yeah. I got you.
Had like a big bulky Walkman. It's one of those ones that was like anti-skip. So you like, if you jostled it around, it wouldn't like get all skippy.
It's a strong boy.
It's a strong boy, so that I can like, mosh in my bedroom to Results May Vary, and they wouldn't skip a beat. Still could hear those. Beautiful.
Did you have a little clip for it over your pants?
I think I just shoved it in my jeans wholesale, because like jeans at the time were big. So their pockets were sizable.
Walkman was pretty great.
But it's a bizarre way to listen to music though.
CDs or a Walkman?
Anything that's not just a square that I put in my pocket feels like a pretty weird way to listen to music. Like I'm carrying around a fucking
fully
CD.
Modern man now.
Yeah, like I know it's not the same thing, but imagine like carrying a portable record player and like just putting headphones into that. It's so weird.
I mean, remember when you go on vacation as a kid, you had to bring your Game Boy, you had to bring your CDs and your CD player, you had to bring books, you had to bring all these big bulky things.
I would have to bring around Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water, the 2000 Limp Bizkit album.
Hot dog flavored water?
Yeah, man. It's supposed to be gross. It's Limp Bizkit. He's nasty.
He's just a nasty man. He's the original nasty man.
That music is not very good anymore. I don't love Limp Bizkit.
Was it good to begin with?
I mean, listen, 10-year-old, 12-year-old me, way into it.
But not a man grown.
I don't think a man grown should be listening to Eat You Alive. The title track or not the title track, but I'd say main single off Results May Vary, other than Behind Blue Eyes, of course. It currently has 300 million views on Spotify, so like still kind of a popular song, it looks like.
Does he have blue eyes? Is that why he did it?
I think he does. Looking at Fred Durst in the year 2022 is a pretty weird experience. He looks like the year 2002.
Physically looks like it.
Yeah. Anyway, Dave, do you want to move on to our main thing?
I'm sorry, I'm just in the Dersthöl now.
Oh, no. Do we dare title this episode The Dersthöl? I'm so scared of that.
It would go along with our butt rock stuff we've been doing.
Why are we in a butt rock era? What is going on?
This is our butt rock phase, dude. We just had to. It had to come eventually. We just got to get it out. We just got to get it straight out the Dersthöl.
Oh my god.
That would be good.
It's such an assault on the senses.
It's bad. It might be worse than Limp Bizkit. Dersthöl.
Oh my god.
Limp Bizkit at least like rolls off the tongue. There's a lot of hard stops in Dersthöl.
Dersthöl. Maybe if we just like don't type it out directly, like we spell it weird. Dersthul. Dersthöl.
We can still get people to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, they won't just immediately unsubscribe.
We could put some umlauts in there too.
Christ, I'm sorry, listeners, for when they read the title and they're like, I wonder what that means. And
Are
then
we
an hour
catfishing our
in,
listeners with the titled episode? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. Like, oh, I wonder what cool new character I'm going to get out of Video Game Podtimism this week.
Just kidding. It's just Dersthöl.
It's just Dersthöl. Sorry. It's not Commander Dersthöl, a different guy. For the people that brought you Chet the Rat comes the Dersthöl.
Oh, it's rancid.
Let's move on to our main thing, David.
Let's do that.
Hey, David, it's Good Games.
Hey, how's it going?
It's the segment where we talk about the okayest games for yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them.
Mm-hmm.
We have another listener suggestion. User suggests some sort of addiction.
Suggestion.
Could you fix this bug, please? Your podcast has a couple of bugs in it. It's too stinky. Too many talks about bones and Durst.
Oh, too many Dersthöls.
Too many Dersthöls in this one. We got a suggestion from listener Chet. Thank you, Chet, for suggesting iNinja. This one came out for a lot of stuff, but I originally played it on GameCube. Did you play this when it came out?
I did not play this one when it came out.
Cool. Nice. It's a bizarre game.
It's strange. It's weird to kind of put a finger on its pulse.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
What makes this game go? Why is this game?
At the same time, there are parts of it that are like sublime. So I am interested in talking about that.
Yeah.
Can I hit you with a few hot stats about it though, David?
Yeah, hit me.
Hot stats. So, iNinja came out September 9th of 2003. So just one simple year after Resident Evil 1, the remake. Wow. Came out for a bunch of stuff, GameCube, PS2. It was like a cross-platform release.
Mm-hmm.
I think it may have come out for Xbox as well. This was made by Argonaut Games, which you will remember also made Buck Bumble.
No shit.
These are the Buck Boys.
The Buck Boys are back at it.
The Buck Boys are back at it. They also, of course, made Croc and the Legend of the Gobos, Bionicle, and I believe they were involved somehow with Star Fox for SNES. I don't exactly know what their role was.
The Legend of the Gobos is maybe one of the best subtitles.
Yeah, it's really good, right? Conjures a lot of really fun imagery.
It does.
So, they made those games. David, I do have a review from Die Hard Game Fan.
Whoa, okay.
Of iNinja. I did find a review from Joe Video for this one. Wasn't very spicy.
Oh.
I ran it through Google Translate a bunch of times, which is normally what I do to fuck up these reviews real good. And when it came out the other end, it was just like, this game is not too bad. I was like, what? Where's all the spice? Where's the flavor, darling?
Maybe you're just feeding Google's AI too much of Joe Video, and they're getting really good at deciphering it.
They know what to expect. And so I had to dig into the Die Hard Game Fan to get some sauce on this one. So yeah, like I said, I ran this one through Google Translate a bunch of times, through the Strait of Esperanto, of course, back out into English. It was originally in English as well, but back out into English to just get, an artist's interpretation of the review. So with that, here's what Die Hard Game Fan had to say. All ninja win. A great ninja game, but still funny. If you rent a house, I don't know to buy it because the game is as flawed as the music. When you hack a game and a ninja swims in a pool of human blood, there's nothing you can do about it. So basically you can spend the weekend. If you rent on a Sunday, you'll be full and have $35 to spend on something else. When you teach kids how to open their stomachs in math class, it's like rat poison. The numbers are on fire. Troll Ninja Game. And they gave this one a 6 out of 10. Kind of a macabre review, this one.
The hell was that? They open up their stomachs in math class and it's like rat poison? Is that what it said?
That's what it said. That's the text right here.
What the hell? What happened?
I think this all sort of thematically fits together with the Dersthöl, if we're being honest with ourselves.
This episode is officially cursed.
Sponsored by Fred himself.
This podcast is officially Durst.
Durst is good. I like that.
I'm going to put Durst on you.
Just real quick, I do have the actual review, and it does say that line is like rat poison for when you teach small children to commit seppuku in their math class. Math sucks. Ninjas rule.
Wow.
Dude, what is happening?
So actually not a bad interpretation.
Yeah, it's like it is mirrored in the Google Translate lens.
Huh. Why was that the way that they wanted to write the review?
I have no idea. I get sort of weird vibes from Die Hard game fan. Hey, David, what's iNinja? What's iNinja?
iNinja is a third-person action where you play as a little chibi ninja, I guess you could say. Small body, big head.
Small body, big head, yeah.
And you go around in semi-open worlds. There's like a hub world, and you can go to different missions. And you just go through slicing people up using your little chain hook to jump around, traversing the environment pretty vertically sometimes. Yeah. They have a little half pipe game you can do.
Yep.
But yeah, it's fun. It's an interesting game.
Yeah, feels very of that era of like going through like very linear levels in like sort of straightforward fashion and then coming back to a hub world to like do other shit, right? Feels kind of Mario 64-ish. I think more appropriately kind of like Spyro is what it feels a lot like.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. We'll say at the top, Billy West voices, or is that his name?
Fry?
Fry, yes. Is the main voice of...
He's the ninja?
He's the ninja, yeah, Billy West.
Wow.
Both Fry and Stimpy and Zoidberg, Zap, Bugs Bunny at times, and Doug, I believe, as well.
He's Zoidberg?
I think so. I think
all
he does
those others I could see, but Zoidberg out of nowhere.
Yeah, it says he does. Philip J. Fry, Professor Farnsworth, Dr. Zoidberg, and Zap Brannigan. A lot of voices. Damn, dude is 70 years old. That is wild.
Billy West is 70?
Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, that's sort of if you know anything about that sort of voice styling, you can kind of get the tone of what iNinja ends up being. It's like very 90s cartoony.
90s cartoon humor as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like the person you're playing who's, I think name is just Ninja.
Yeah.
He like in the very opening scene accidentally kills his sensei.
Yeah. And he's very kind of flippant about it. He's like, whatever.
Yeah. And like is just sort of stoked to find more of those orbs that made him go like berserk and kill his sensei.
The game is on something in the beginning. It's very fast-paced, very kind of in your face when it's presenting all this information. It's like you barely have time to get ready to play it, and it's just already Ninja has killed like 6 people and his master, and you're just like, what is happening? It feels like a breakfast cereal cartoon or like commercial or something like that.
Like commercial for Gushers or something.
Yeah. Something that's supposed to be like high energy, has sugar.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the tone is pretty weird initially, I will say. Like it was kind of a punch in the face of like, what is going on in this video game? Yeah, like you said, very of the time. Just in your face energy. But yeah, he actually kills his master and then is just going on this journey to find those stones that made him go nuts and kill him. I'm guessing destroy them, put them away, hide them, something. There's like some big bad guy that they sort of refer to in the beginning of the game. But I feel like all of the setup for the game is just the game designers looking at the camera and saying like, let's just play the game, huh? Like you're ready to play this video game, right? We don't need to do all this.
Yeah, they're just like, let's just get into this. Don't think too much.
Which, honestly, I'm appreciative of because some parts of this game are, as I suggested, kind of really good. If we're getting into the gushing part of this game, I thought the platforming and the traversal was so good.
Yeah.
Like you start getting, they throw a bunch of different abilities at you at the beginning, but they all start to come together in a way that like is really satisfying. You get like, it's just like initially just a jump and a double jump. Great. Okay. Normal platformer. This could be Spyro or, Crash Bandicoot or something. And then they're like, okay, you can also run on walls. Cool. Great. You can also jump off of walls. Phenomenal. You can, if you're jumping off something high, spin your sword to kind of do like a little helicopter so you can go farther. Great. And then it's like you also have like a hook shot. So you can start swinging over gaps and you can start grinding on rails and doing like a Ninja Warrior style thing where you like run up a wall and come back down real fast to reach new heights.
Yeah, the half pipe.
And those other sections where you're like running down like a roller coaster and you have to use your hook shot to like pull yourself around while you're running. So good. I love that.
It felt like they were very inspired by Tony Hawk.
Yeah, in like a way that didn't feel derivative, but still felt like we want to make you feel like you're like riding a roller coaster at some points. It's really good. I think that stuff is really cool. I was not expecting like it to feel that good because it's all like incredibly snappy. Your like hook shot comes out almost immediately. You don't have to like aim it at the hook or whatever. You just sort of press a button and it's like connected immediately. All the jumping feels really like tight and good. Yeah, so like the platforming feels like really, really good in a way that I was not expecting, because I think the combat feels kind of boilerplate in a lot of ways. And like
the combat is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, like straightforward, and like I don't always have like a lot of fun getting into the combat. It almost makes me wish this game was just platforming, because like I don't know that I need the combat here. It's really fun to roll around in this game.
Yeah, I definitely felt like the traversal was the fun part, the movement was the fun part, and the combat was just kind of in there. Like if I saw one of those little orbs that shoots people out, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Gotta make it through this. Just like found myself just trying to do it as fast as possible so we could get back to the jumping.
Same. Yeah, like the jumping is really good. Almost a lot of the levels culminate in this area too, where it like almost turns into Super Monkey Ball for a second. Where you're like,
the eye.
Yeah, you're riding on like this orb, and sometimes it's just like kind of a downhill slalom sort of thing where you're like riding down like a half pipe or something to like get to the end. Other times the like second level that I had played through, it's like there are parts that are like sort of downhill and you're going really quickly, but you also had to like balance on this tiny little like beam to get across the level.
Yeah, those parts were tough.
It was hard, but I was still having kind of a good time doing it. So like I really liked just the sheer amount of like platforming and like mechanics that they are throwing at it. I thought all of them were like kind of ahead of their time as far as how good they felt. Yeah, it was surprising. I'd played this at the time and don't really remember that part of it being like outstanding. So it was interesting to come back to it and be like, I didn't remember this, but it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, what is your recollection of the game when you played it as a kid?
I remember being impressed with the combat, and specifically the way that like the enemies would respond if you like hit them in a weird way. Like sometimes you can just like cut dudes in half and like...
Yeah, if you do that like jumping attack.
Yeah, and like that's... It feels very of its time to be like hyper violent without really like being violent, because like the dudes just like are green inside and like they're not really like real people at all. Yeah, like it's not that big of a deal. And I remember that being like really cool and like kind of edgy and like, I'm using a sword. I think like for a long time it was interesting whenever games made enemies respond when you like got them in a specific way. I remember like any Star Wars game, I was always like, is this going to be the one where I can cut the arms off of droids yet? And like eventually it did get there, but like for a little while
specifically I was like, arms off droids, huh?
Yeah, because like I knew they weren't going to let me do that to people, and like I didn't really want to, but I could definitely roll up on like a droidica and would love to like slice them in half.
Destroyer of droids, Chase Albee.
Yeah, because like it just feels like Jedi should just be able to like wipe droids out, you know? Yeah, like just totally fuck them up, because all they got is lasers.
You're just a laser man, a laser bot.
Anyway, so I remember the combat being fun, and like unfortunately enough, I did think the tone was pretty funny at the time.
Hey, it's for kids. That's fine.
Yeah, I was a big Ren and Stimpy guy, so like this kind of humor I think was like up my alley. Of like the main guy's kind of a scamp and like doesn't really care, and
he's very scampy.
Yeah, real scamp kind of guy, and it's just like he's got an attitude.
He is the DreamWorks face.
Yeah, a little. I will say almost a little more aggressive than the DreamWorks face. It's not just like I'm gonna cock my eyebrows, but also like I love just going berserk and fighting these people.
Yeah, you know? But like actually backing it up.
Yeah. So it's interesting. But I did think it was funny at the time, and I don't think that carried me through super far in this game. I must have rented it because I got farther in it than I remember getting 2 in the first round, or the first time I played it, you know, I must not have gotten very far at all. It's also like kind of hard in points, so like
it does have some difficulty spikes sometimes. Yeah,
I definitely died on like the very first level in the combat, so like it is hard in places. So anyway, yeah, it's I definitely took away different stuff this time than the first time I was playing it. What was your take on this game?
I did enjoy the traversal, but that was probably the only thing I really enjoyed personally. Like I thought the story was not a little off for me.
Yeah.
The like very intense energy of the main character. I'm like, I don't know if I can handle this. This is a lot for me. Like I'm just trying to chill right now. And this guy's like the opposite of chill. He is the poster child for no chill.
Yeah, that's true. Especially if you had your ear infection while you were playing this would be kind of an assault.
It was a little bit of an assault. So there's that aspect to it. I thought the graphics were good enough. Found that like you said, that the actual combat itself was pretty bare bones. I didn't like the music either, personally.
I don't remember any of it.
It was a strange like electro beat.
Weird. Let me pull up a little bit of this.
A strange choice for this game, I thought.
Let's try I Ninja 1. That's the name of this track. Start from the top. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It felt a little too like future techno to me. But I don't know. That's just me. That's just me, baby.
Yeah.
Are you vibing to it?
I don't know. It's okay. I wouldn't say that that's like outstanding by any measure. It feels very Spyro. Like this music feels like it's straight out of a Spyro game to me. Just in kind of the vibe that it's setting. So like, I wouldn't say that's offensive to my ears by any measure, but like, you know, it's not doing a lot for me.
I wouldn't say offensive either, but it didn't seem to me like it made me want to do ninja stuff. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying. It's not like fitting the mood that the game seems to be putting out otherwise.
Yeah. I think the vibe of this game, I'm not for the vibe. Like I enjoy the traversal. The combat is whatever, but the vibe it's trying to invoke in me, I feel my body rejecting it for one reason or another.
Yeah.
I don't feel this way often.
It's interesting because I don't like, I sort of just, it washes over me, the vibe of this game, in a way that like, I don't really notice it outside of everything else.
I mean, you did listen to Limp Bizkit as a kid.
It is true. It's a knock against me for my ability to judge.
Hitting you again.
It's full-blown Durst.
No, I see that. It seems like a very weird nitpick for me, but I can see how it's just trying to be much in the background, but for some reason I can't ignore it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I could see how that would be distracting in a way. Like if it's something that's not really driving for you, how it could be like, it's hard for me to not hear this or whatever.
Yeah.
Or just not enjoy how it's culminating, right? I think just like I didn't really take notice of it that hard.
Yeah.
And so it must just not have like caught my ear or my eye as much. My eye ninja as much. Also, sort of a bizarre title. It's so early 2000s to just put an I in front of something and call it good.
I mean, thanks Steve Jobs for that one.
I think this was pre-iPhone.
Is it?
It wasn't pre-iPod.
I was about to say iPod, iMac. That was already a thing, wasn't it?
iNinja. Yeah, I'm pretty sure iPods were out before then.
So I remember iPods in middle school.
I will say it's pretty hard to ignore the fact that like all of the characters voicing these characters are white guys. Like it's pretty bizarre to make a ninja game and just have it be like, you know, white guys, ninjas.
It's of the time, unfortunately. But yeah, I agree.
It's hard for me to like not see that. And like I think that sucks. Like it's very much using the imagery of ninjas as like
the selling point.
Yeah, and like, you know, we're gonna hire like the whitest dudes, just nothing but Scarlett Johanssons to play the ninjas here.
Only ScarJos.
Only ScarJos, please. Final destination ScarJos only. Yeah, it felt off to me. It's not like in my face as much as like when we were playing Gex, that was like quite as much of a painful experience, but like it's definitely present of like, it doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
I was worried it was going to be like a lot worse than it is.
Like the appropriation portion of it?
The appropriation, I was scared it was just going to be like awful racist shit coming in here. And it's like, it's not, of the offenses, that is not at the top of the list.
True. Very true. And they don't lean into it very much.
As much as I was scared. Again, I didn't beat this game, so like, hopefully there's not some end game cutscene that's just like so terrible, but like it wasn't something that like punched me in the face when I got in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as Gex did.
Haunts my dreams.
It does haunt my dreams too. Gex is always here. How does this compare to like other platformers of the time, do you feel like?
Would you say it was 2004?
2003. So like, I'd compare this against like Sly Cooper and Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, that sort of shit.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, it's not up to the standards of those other ones.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I could see how it's trying to do its own thing, like trying to kind of be the Sonic of this age, where it's like, oh, this is going to be very fast paced. It's going to be a lot of running around and running along things. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of speed. And I do like the variety of gameplay. I like the little monkey ball segments. That definitely reminds me of like a Sly Cooper.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like Sly 3 had so many different game mechanics in it going on, which is awesome. But yeah, to me, I think it's definitely in a tier below of the other kind of flag bearers of this time of action platformer, which was probably the hot genre at the time that this was released. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it's kind of tough because it's going up against like one of the more popular genres of that era. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of good platformers at the time. Oh, yeah. And even when you compare it against like, the generation before, I think it's, if I'm playing this, I do think it's a little bit tighter than like the first Crash Bandicoot. Sure. I played that one recently and was like, oh boy, this is kind of rough. Like it is punishingly difficult. Yeah, it's a hard game. Yeah, in a way that like didn't feel very fun to go through. And so like I think it is firing on those cylinders, but the industry is just moving so fast with like, Sly Cooper felt incredible by the end of that series, like just doing so much cool shit. And even in the first one was doing really cool stuff with like, the game design choices around like platforming and like how you would actually like attach to platforms. Like I remember very vividly playing through that. And I think you just like when you jump, you can press circle to just like land on something. Mm-hmm. And like it just felt so nice to not have to like jankily land on something and like fuck up the jump. And so like I think parts of this are hitting that. Like you were saying, it does feel in a way like a Sonic game where it's trying to communicate a lot of speed. And I think in moments it does that really well, where you're just like flying through a level. And I sort of wish that they leaned into that a little bit harder because like I really like that part of it. Like I said, the parts where you are running down a ramp and you use your hook shot to attach to something to the left of you and you spin around a circle, come around the other end, and then have to like wall run and like hover at the end of that. Like that feels really good. Yeah. In a way that like, modern stuff does too. It reminds me of Mirror's Edge. It reminds me of Ghost Runner, I think is the name of that game. The like one from a year or two ago. In ways that's really cool. And even the other games weren't doing that, right? Like Ratchet and Clank didn't necessarily do that. Maybe Sly did some of it, but like, Jack and Daxter didn't either. They were doing very different ideas. And so it's sort of a shame that we didn't get a second one because like, man, I would have loved to see how they iterate on this. It would have been interesting. There's really good stuff in here. Even if the tone didn't necessarily land with you, I do think the platforming is like pretty good. In this Honestly, game. I just wanted more platforming.
Yeah, like I said, if that was the whole game, I would have been like, I probably still would be playing it. Yeah, and instead of slashing enemies, you could like slash things out of your way. Sure, yeah. Like your route, whatever it is. It's interesting. I liked playing through this one. It definitely like have wanted to play this one for a little while, so it was nice that Chet suggested it because I was like, oh, great, a reason to go back and check this one out. Because I feel like even when I was younger, I was still kind of mixed on it, but had like recognized like there's something happening in here. There's some part of a cool game here. There is. Yeah. It's definitely there. Yeah. It's the platforming. Yes. Platforming is good. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, do you have anything else to say about iNinja, David? No, I think that's it. I think that's it too. I like this game. I thought it was fun. It was good. It was fun. It was good. It was fun. I don't know if I can go so far to say good, but I can say it was fine. It's good games, David. It's the segment. It was good. Yeah. It's a good game. It's a good game. Cool. Also, thank you, Chet, for suggesting this one. Appreciate you. Nice suggestion. Nice suggestion. That's an interesting one. I don't know if that quite works, but I'm on board for it. It's close enough. It's close enough. It's close enough. hello, everybody. And also, hello, David. Welcome to the outro.
I'm here. Back.
Couple of things. One, if you want to listen to the show or talk to us on Twitter or email us, any of that shit, you can do that at podtimism.com. You can go, it's where you can find if we've talked about a game already. You can suggest a game there in our easy little suggestion box. It's easy to do. Thank you to people who are still doing that, still getting suggestions in. So thank you for making our lives easier by telling us what we can or should play. It's very good. It's also heartwarming. I just like seeing what people are like, this is the game that I would do if I was going to do an episode.
Yeah, no, it is always fun to see.
So yeah, that's where you can go if you need to get any of our links or our stuff. If you want to help the show, you can do a number of things. One, you can review it on your podcatcher of choice. One of those is Apple iTunes, another one Spotify. You know, I haven't really been checking the other outlets, I will say. So if you're out there leaving reviews on Stitcher, I'm not seeing that one, but the other ones are the more prominent review outlets. Thanks to people who are doing that. Again, like I said, I see the like numbered reviews come through every now and then. So like, appreciate you. It helps. It's nice. The other thing you can do if you want to help the show is tell a buddy about it.
Tell a buddy.
Tell a buddy. You, in your, of course, weekly discussions about what podcast anybody's listening to, you can be like, hey, if you're into like cool, nice vibes and like just having a good time and like not being an online gamer about video games, then like, how about this one? How about this podcast?
If you're not an online gamer.
Yeah, if you're just like a normal, regular gamer who like doesn't hate the medium for whatever reason, then like maybe this podcast is a good choice for you. Again, I see people do that online, so like appreciate you. Thank you. Also, just real quick, a solid scout out of the week.
The solid scout.
The solid scout out. She's doing great work. Can't stop her. Won't stop her. That's just the truth. She made our podcast art, I guess I should say.
Yes, that too.
That too. This was just a personal scout out, unrelated to
everyone. Shut up and do my scout out, just for scout.
Has nothing to do with our podcast. Yeah. No, it does. She made it, and it's phenomenal. Also, she's doing sword timber right now.
She's just drawing cool swords
every day. Scout produces a new cool sword. So if you're interested, go on Twitter and follow Humble Goat because she's doing it there, and it's very good.
I do love me a good sword.
I think she drew Woodrow Wilson as a sword the other day, which I really enjoy.
Woodrow Wilson sword?
Yes, I think that was the portmanteau. It looks like old Woodrow wasn't in the main thread, but she's got a number of very cool swords.
Okay.
I was a big fan of the water sword that she drew. Looks cool as hell.
Awesome.
So yeah, I don't think her commissions are open. Just go follow her on Twitter. She's doing cool shit. That's that thing. Also, the final person we would like to thank this week is you, listener. I appreciate you being here. I always love seeing people listen to it. I love hearing from people about it. Oh my God, what was this the other day? Listener Henna the other day chimed in and said, VGP is my Monday dinner cooking show, and thanks for getting me to cook at least once a week. I've been thinking about that daily. That is so nice. That is so nice.
That's awesome. I love that.
That's so good. Me too.
I hope you're making a great dinner.
Yeah, me too. I bet it's delicious. Maybe not this specific episode because of
we're really sorry about all
the presence of Fred in this one.
all the nasty talk of Fred Durst in this one.
Yeah, apologize about that. Hope the pasta's okay.
It's dinner cooking, not dinner eating. So hopefully we're good.
I really appreciate whenever like people talk about it or like chime in with that sort of stuff because it means a great deal. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for talking about it. Appreciate you. That's just it. That's all. You feel me?
I feel you.
Do you have any gaming wisdom, David?
Yeah.
What is it?
I do. Sometimes you're not going to feel the vibes.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes you're maybe you see what they are. Maybe you don't feel them at all.
Yeah.
But they just don't vibe with you.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's okay to not have something vibe with you. Doesn't mean it's bad. Just mean it ain't for you.
That's true. That's really true. And like even when you do teach the kids to open their stomachs in math class, like it's not always rat poison. So like, you feel me? It makes sense that you might not be into that vibe.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot more sense than me not being into the vibe of iNinja. But yeah, I think that's more of a universal. I'm not into this vibe. Hopefully for people.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, I totally hear you. Sometimes it's not for you. And you know what? That's okay here on Video Game Podtimism. Because we're not going to judge and we're also not going to dunk. You know?
Nah.
Just because it wasn't for you doesn't mean like, oh, this game is so stupid and bad.
No, I want these games to dunk on me. I want to be the one posterized. It's always what I want from a game.
Please dunk on me, game. I'm ready.
Please dunk on me, game senpai. You have any rebuttal to that, Chase?
No, that's it. That's all I got. Dunk on me, senpai. Is Fred Durst the senpai in this situation?
Dunk on me, Durst senpai?
Dunk on me, Durst pie.
Durst pie. Oh, no. Durst pie?
I have got to climb out of the Durst hole, David. This place is terrible.
We've been in the Durst hole for an hour now.
They dug too deep and too greedily into Durst hole.
What is the Balrog that comes out of Durst hole?
It's Fred Durst, man. It's just the guy.
Himself?
It's just him.
He climbs out of his own hole? Wow. I mean, that checks out for Fred Durst.
Yeah, sure. All right, see you next week, listeners. Bye.
All right, see ya.
Bye.